Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be installing Diode Dynamics SS3 non-modular bumper fog lights. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about today how to put these together and how to install them in the bumper. As you can see, I got my setup going on in here. We're going to take out these 10mm bolts. We'll need a good flashlight to be able to see inside of there. Got my socket ready with a 10mm and an extension. And to give myself some space here, I went ahead and turned the wheel all the way to the right. But we're going to talk about how to get these assembled, and then I'm going to shoot some photos so you can see them assembled, and then we'll talk about how to install them. So we'll go ahead and get them assembled here. We're going to take the lights out. There's some brackets that come with it. These are going to replace the factory bracket. So we'll install those. I'll show them installed. Got some hardware over there. We got the lights right here. Now it does say that the SAE portion of this will be at the bottom, and then you'll slide the light in this direction, and then when you slide them into the housing, they'll bolt from the back using the factory hardware from the Ford Bronco. So let's go ahead and get that done. So we're going to take the 10mm socket. We're going to take the 4 outer edge 10mm bolts off, and then the plug in the middle that has the green and yellow outlet. I'm going to go ahead and remove that now. So there we have it. We have the light out. There's my flashlight on the other side. Pretty simple to do. 4 10mm tap-in screws. I was surprised about that. When I started to twist these out, I was like, man, these things are not coming out. They got to a certain point where you just had to pull them out. Now this is the factory LED headlight, or excuse me, factory LED fog light, and then these little guys just went right into the 4 corners, like so. And then I'm going to use these again to put in the Diode Dynamics, but I just wanted to show that is out. Factory plug is right here. We do have a harness that we're going to plug into this on the other side. I'm going to show you how to do that now, and then we're going to prepare the SS3s to be mounted on the back side of this non-modular bumper. This took me about 7 minutes to get out. Not very difficult. I did have to use an extra extension to clear the crash bar that's inside of there. That crash bar was getting in the way of me pulling those screws out. So let's go ahead and assemble the SS3 SAEs for this bumper, and we're going to go ahead and do that now. To do this next step here, you do have a little Allen head stainless steel screw with a washer and a nut. You are going to need a 4mm Allen head to go ahead and assemble the bracket. Now we're going to put this side towards the bumper, and then this side is where those 4 10mm factory screw tap-in screws are going to go back into the bumper. So what I'm going to do is take my light here. As you can see, it says SAE F19. That's going to be the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that in through the bracket like this, and then I'm going to screw it down right here, and then I'm going to prepare it to go ahead and put my harness in. So I'm going to put this together now, and then once I get this all assembled, I'll show you what that looks like. So I got everything installed here. I got the plug down at the bottom. As you can see, the harness is plugged in there. That's going to be the adapter that's going to go on the factory side. You got a positive, negative on that. So here we go, we got everything installed with the bracket loop facing the forward position. We got the 4 little corners that we're going to be using the factory hardware to screw back in, and as you can see, I have the pigtail adapter that will plug into the factory harness. I was very impressed on how this clicks in very tightly. I feel like I have a really good water seal there. Doesn't look like there's a lot of room for movement, so we'll have to see how to adjust these when we get them inside of the bumper. All right, I got the pods in here, and what I had to do to get them to fit is, as you can see, the factory hole is completely circle, and these lights are a little bit more square. Now what you're looking at here, this hole was factory. I did not cut this. What I did was I marked with a Sharpie on the little hole there, and I just kind of rounded them off where I can get these corners to fit in here. So you will have to kind of round and then expand that edge and then push the light in from the back side. So I was able to tighten up the little head right here so I can adjust this up or down. I had to bring my Allen wrench through the back side and then hook it on there and then turn it to get it to tighten. But I did get it in there. Again, this is a factory hole right here. I did not cut that. I just kind of made these edges here a little bit bigger. And then back here on the back side, can't really see that, but everything lines up perfectly. What I had to do is take that whole bumper cover off so I could get to that, to sand that out. Now I'm going to put that back on. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Now when you take that cover off, be careful, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clips that are going to pop off. So just pull lightly. This corner one started to hang. I had to put a screwdriver in from that side and kind of pull it out, and then I got it to come off. Be careful, because if you break that clip, this is going to be loose and slap around. So just take your time pulling that off. I'm going to show you that after I put it back on. Here's what it looks like with the cover reinstalled. Everything pushed in nice and tight. This gap was here before, so this is nothing new. Have a little bit of gap right here and right here, but I guess that's okay. It doesn't look terrible. And I'll give you a little side-by-side comparison. So here's the right side with the SS3. That side's already done. And then you got the factory side here, which is kind of recessed and pushed all the way back. Has a lot of air around it, where this one now is real nice and flush forward. Looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and work on the other side here, and I'll post that when we get that one done. Now I did take the skid plate off again. There's 6 bolts underneath there. That just gave me a little bit of room to get my body underneath there to be able to get to these 10mm screws. Obviously turning the wheel to the left or to the right, depending on what side you're working on, is going to help you out a lot. But we're going to get underneath here. We're going to work on the back side. Plenty of room in there to work. We're going to unplug that. And then I'm going to modify this hole. I'll show you that modification and what you need to do, and on to the next step. On the passenger side, I have my wheel turned completely out. As you can see, I already have that plug undone. There are 4 10mm bolts on this side, just like the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and take those little self-tapper screws out. I'm going to be careful to hold my light as I get to the last one. It wants to fall in, because the only things holding that in is those little 4 self-tapping screws. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those now. So here we go. I got the light out. Now I'm going to go ahead and test fit. You'll see these like little corners right here. They kind of come up. This is the part where you're going to round off and expand out. You'll see another one right here. Kind of lumps out right there, so you got to smooth that down. And then and then what you're going to have to do is it'll lump up right here. You'll have to just kind of round that out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put my light in here, and then I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie. All right, so right before you start dremeling, you want to put that back bracket on, because when you put the light through, you need to see where you're going to be adjusting. So what I'm going to do is come around to the front, and I'm going to take my light, and I'm going to slide it in there. And I'm gonna see where it starts to hit. I need to make sure I got it in there straight. And as you can see, almost lines up to the bracket. It's not quite square yet there, and that's why we're going to drill that out. We're going to cut that edge around so that when we're looking through, that this piece right here lines up so I can run that Allen head in there. You can also see it's touching right there a little bit, touching up there in that corner. And then when I push it through back here, a little bit of touch right down there. So I'm gonna, oops, sorry. I'm gonna smooth that out right there. A flashlight back there. I'm gonna smooth that one out. Then I'm gonna smooth that top corner and then that corner. So here we go, we got it dremeled out. I'm gonna go ahead and slide my light in the bracket and see how this looks and fits. I'm just gonna line that up in there. All right, slides back in there nice and neat. Turn my headlamp back on, so now you see that that bracket is lined up directly where it needs to be. Nice and tight. Nice and flush on both sides. Hard to see that one there, but it is. And there's a little bit of adjustment in there, and I already have it adjusted down for that. But you can see I just notched that little corner out, notched that little bevel off, notched this one off, and then a little bit up there I just kind of rounded it out. And now it sits in there nice and flush with this, so when that panel goes back on, I know it's gonna sit tight and it's not gonna have a gap. It's very important that you get this one as flush as you can, because that cover won't go back on. So it's nice and flush, seated in there. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this down. There we go, and as you can see, we have both of the pods now installed in the non-modular bumper. And the overall difference is night and day. The span is much wider. We're gonna take the Bronco out here and get a better view of what this looks like out on the road. So I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna clean up my tools, and we're gonna go out and see what this looks like outside on the road. All right, here we are in the Bronco. Now keep in mind, I do have a tinted windshield. My windshield is at least 50% on the tint. Right now I'm driving around with no fog lights on. This is just the headlights on the Bronco. I'm gonna get out of my neighborhood here, and then we're gonna get to an area where you can really see how these fog lights perform. Again, this is 50% tinted windshield on the factory headlights. I got no other lights on right now, and I'm gonna turn down a road here, and we're gonna turn the fogs on, and we'll take a look here of how bright these are. Just sitting out in the garage, I mean, they're super bright, very nice color. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those on now. As you can see, the span is much wider. I can see almost the top of trees, and these are pointed down, so there goes auto high beam assist is turning off for these street lights, so that's going to turn off. Trying to get to a dark area here where I can show you these lights. So almost out of the neighborhood. All right, there they are back on. Kick the high beams off. So there they are. Really happy with the way these look. Things that are white, like stop signs and bicycle routes, are much brighter. I can see those. As you can see, the yellow stripes in the road are very clear and vivid. I would say this is a must upgrade for your Bronco with a non-modular bumper. A little bit of modification, about 2 hours worth of time to install these. that's me going ahead and cleaning up those areas. I'm gonna see if we're gonna get flashed here by this Jeep that we're about ready to pass. And no flashing, so that's a good sign. I'm gonna turn down this road here and turn my turn signal on. Take a look here. Relatively dark road. But very happy with the way that these are performing. I definitely see more trees on the tree line on the side of the road, which is going to be nice for things like deer if you're driving on off-road trails. So far, that's 2 vehicles. We haven't been flashed yet. And it doesn't really look like it's in their eyes, as far as I can tell, but really happy with the way that these are looking. As you can see, it did rain today, so not putting off a ton of glare on the road from those wet areas. But you can see for a good distance, the stop signs, everything's very bright and vivid, even through a windshield with 50% tint on it. So overall, I'm very happy with these lights. You should definitely reach out to Diode Dynamics and get you a set of these. And if you have any questions on installing them, please feel free to send me a message and I'll help you along the way with installing these lights and give you the pointers that I took to install them level. Thank you for tuning in.